Hello queens, welcome back to my channel. Long time no talk. Let's just get straight into the video. I'm gonna have a chit chat with you on my second channel eventually with some time, but today I have to get you updated with everything that's happening between James Charles and Tati Westbrook because I'm about to launch into a multi-part investigation series. And I know lots of people have already been talking about this, but in my ecosystem I like to give you a start to finish. So this is going to be me just introducing you to the topic, the basics of what's happened, and then from there we can go through our investigation and just look at what's happened, some of the crazy accusations being made against James Charles by Tati Westbrook and now other people. This is really going really far. Like, James Charles has lost around 2 million subscribers already in 2 days, which, as far as I'm aware, that's the biggest unsubscribe hit I've ever seen before in beauty YouTube. That's more than Laura Lee last year when everything kicked off. So definitely crazy times, super big things happening. As always, I'm gonna just remain impartial, just give you all the tea, give you all the evidence, and then we just have a chit chat. But I'm just gonna talk you through the basis of what's happened. So obviously I've been away doing a lot of different things, and I will update you on that very soon. I'm gonna have my second channel active again, or a third channel, I don't know yet, but anyway, so I'm gonna shut up. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Sorry, Pepper. Sorry, Pepper. Sorry, Peps. Forgive me. First of all, a very soft disclaimer. Please don't be put off the beauty community by these kind of things happening, and it's a very small number of people involved in all this drama. It's usually being caused by them in the first place. It's one of the reasons they grow so big. It creates a lot of circulation. You know, I just hope that you don't get put off the beauty community. There's still a lot of people that just love makeup and aren't about crazy dramas and influencer friendships and social climbing and all that kind of stuff. Just because these two people are having a big thing happening and other people all the time, I hope you do just know that there are plenty of wonderful, talented people just waiting for you to find them on the internet that are part of this community. You know, they just don't get as much exposure because it's not as juicy. Anyway, let's just get into the video. James Charles is a 19-year-old American YouTuber and Tati Westbrook is a 37-year-old American YouTuber. They're both based in LA. James Charles has grown to fame really quickly, very fast. I believe he was 17 when he was originally made the face of CoverGirl. That was after a viral tweet went out in which he said he'd taken a ring light to his graduation photos. Obviously that was debunked as a lie. It was Photoshop and it was just a fake clout sort of thing that was made up. I will leave a link to the video down below where I covered that. I think there's 2 or 3 parts if you are new to the situation. But let's just give you some context. So that was James's break, but it was kind of a bit, you know, it's difficult because obviously it was not true. But anyway, let's not get too hindered by that. James has known Tati for a long time. They've been friends about 3-4 years now, a very long time. Tati really found James when he was very young, but he was beginning to take off. He grew very quickly on Instagram, which is how he kind of sidestepped to Twitter and then eventually YouTube, and that's how he's got so big on YouTube now. The reason this is all kicked off is because James originally did not promote Tati's pill. Tati Westbrook started a company called Halo Beauty, which involves it's like a multivitamin pill for hair growth. When she launched the brand originally, there was quite a lot that people were very upset with to do with ingredients and disclaimers and disclosures and stuff like that. For those of you that don't remember, I will leave a link down below to some videos you can watch regarding Halo Beauty. The launch was quite messy. Tati's attitude put a lot of people off. I think she lost quite a lot of subscribers. There was a lot of things that just didn't read well. Like, she made out that like they'd got this amazing chemical called ceramide RX and she was using it as like a big marketing tactic. Like, oh, we have this amazing chemical, no one else has it. And obviously I did my investigation, and while I was digging I found out that the reason no one else has it is because they just took something that already existed and just made a new name for it and trademarked it so no one else could use the name. So
as an example, there's one ingredient in here,
ceramide RX,
that is crazy expensive, but it works.
I went searching and I couldn't find anything chemical wise, which makes me think that it's some sort of label, not the name of the actual active ingredient. It'll be the name of the brand that produces it. Does that make sense? This trademark was filed very recently. This is for ceramide RX. So I went digging into this further and I wanted to know who filed this trademark application. Tati never mentioned at any point during her launch that she had some sort of attachment. Please bear in mind I haven't confirmed that this is definitely her husband. It's just the exact same name and it has a relation to her company, so this is an assumption. I do have to stress that. But she at no point mentioned that her husband was involved in a different company that had trademarked a name of one of the ingredients that she was using. People might Google, oh, how can we get this ingredient? How can we get this chemical? Because Tati's saying it's so good, and then you can't get it anywhere because it's trademarked. And for anyone to use it, they would need a license from the trademark owner, who is Tati's husband. Tati never mentioned any of this, and it just didn't sit with me how this is going. I just found it misleading. Like, it would have been much more authentic to just say on camera, like, yeah, you know, we found something that was researched, was it 19 years ago in Japan on a case study of one girl, which the found the results for. But instead it was just like, oh, we have this amazing new chemical, no one else has it. And it was kind of just like, YouTube isn't about those kind of weird marketing tactics. I think it's much more authentic relationships. So a lot of people were very upset by that. But in this situation, Tati doesn't look like the bad one. James looks like the bad one from everyone's perspective. Everyone is very, very angry at James right now. Tati's growing very, very quickly. I do have live streams all the time on my channel. You can come and chat to people in. But James has been losing a lot of subscribers and Tati's been gaining a lot of subscribers, which is all very strange because they were such good friends. Like James was at Tati's like wedding or something like that. And you know, it's just, there was so much they've done together. So it was weird for Tati to really go out of a way to almost like assassinate his character and like destroy his career. Like fair enough, the accusations that Tati's made are quite serious. A lot of the things that she's spoken about are very, very things to not take lightly. But she's still doing it. Like there's plenty of people that are friends in the beauty community that have dirt on each other, but don't just dish it out. You know, it's kind of one of those things that it's like a last resort. So for Tati Westbrook to come on camera and really drag him and significantly, I mean, the news articles, big news articles, I saw one in New Zealand, said that Tati Westbrook had destroyed his career. I was like, wow, like it's a big step to take from being almost like a mother to someone to like cutting the head off, you know, like, and now he's being accused of being like a sexual predator. And this is all from like Tati's thing that she started. So it's like a big deal to go from like supporting someone to like destroying them, you know. It's like crazy, crazy big drama. If you are new to this, like it's worth paying attention to. It's quite big. James Charles did not support Tati's pill because he said it wasn't appropriate for his audience. Now obviously he probably wasn't getting paid by Tati either. She would have kind of just expected him to promote it because Tati promoted James's eyeshadow palette. But obviously, like, for those of you that don't remember the context, the launch of Halo Beauty was controversial. Tati did get a lot of negative press. She lost a lot of subscribers, not just because of the product, but because of how she dealt with the situation when it did happen.
I know that you guys want some answers, or slandering my formula with things that are just not true, then you're going to be blocked. I've blocked about 25 people.
And obviously things to do with the Ceramide RX, and when I was researching, I went through all the company information and I found out that like this was owned by this, that was owned by this. There was just a lot of stuff that hadn't been disclosed, like especially with the trademark of the Ceramide RX. Like it just didn't sit well with me that like the husband owned the trademark and they were making out that like it was some exclusive thing, but it wasn't. It's like a 20-year-old piece of thing that was made in Japan. Like, you know, it's not like a modern day heavily researched thing. Anyway, I'm gonna move on because it's not relevant to the story that much. But James didn't want to promote it during that controversial time because he said it wasn't appropriate for his audience. That by itself kind of makes sense for some people. You know, if you don't want to promote a pill that people take, it's your decision as an influencer. The issue arose when James Charles then took on a sponsored post on Instagram now, which is like a year and a half later from the original launch, I believe, of Halo Beauty, called like Sugar Care Bear. Basically, it's a pill that's supposed to help you sleep for kids. I was just in shock. It just doesn't make any sense that James would go and promote this pill, which is kind of a bit like, you shouldn't be giving kids sleeping pills, you know, unless it's literally a medically prescribed pill for a medical condition. Like, you know, it just kind of, it was very controversial. And obviously this turned into a massive thing. I believe that Gabriel Zamora spoke out about this as well on Instagram. This is just going to be me giving you a basic outline. I'm not going to go into things in too much detail because that's for other videos. And Tati Westbrook felt under pressure because Gabriel Zamora sort of addressed her. And she made this 41-minute video on YouTube, which is very well put together, very, very dramatic, like obviously very drama chasing. If you look at the thumbnail, it's like her in the middle and she's like so shocked. She's like literally like she's just been shaken and her titties have just flown away. Okay, Pepper, what do you think? Exactly, my thoughts exactly, Pepper. And then alongside it, she had like these two like blurred out screenshots, which were also shook as well. So I'm like, this is such a drama video, like Tati's a drama channel. And I know that alongside this, she works with two drama channels that she is friends with that are obviously going to post favorable videos towards her. So generally from the outside, it looks like Tati went for a very well executed, you know, almost tactical approach. It wasn't like an emotional, quick chit chat, like guys, I'm upset about something, I need to just have a chit chat. It was almost like planned behind the scenes, spoke to influencers, spoke to people like Jeffrey and Shane Dawson, who have both now unfollowed James Charles, which is strange because they were such good friends. Well, they work together anyway, you don't know who's friends nowadays, I guess. But yeah, like a lot seemed to have happened and Tati really went full steam ahead to the point where the video got like 20 million views in 24 hours, which is just insane. Really, really insane. That's like more than Laura Lee got, I'm sure, for her thing. Really, really crazy, crazy views. James Charles posted a video soon after her 41-minute video and it was 8 minutes long. And he basically was just very much lost. He was like, you know, there's not really much I can say because I know this is going to be bad for me. And I know he has been trying to stay out of scandals, but at the same time, he has been from sort of getting into these issues that were eventually going to cause a problem to do with the boys and the straight boys thing. It was eventually going to cause an issue, and I've spoken about this in the past. I think I tweeted a while ago, and you know, I'm not against James, I'm not for James, I'm supportive generally of people in the beauty community, and I've spoken to him privately over the past 2 years or so. But the whole straight thing was an issue. We'll get onto that. Let me just keep going and keep on topic because I don't need to get lost in this situation. Pepper's already getting frustrated. I can sense it. I'm so sorry, babes. Don't worry. So he posted this video. It's 8 minutes long. It was quite difficult to watch, but he starts crying and he says like basically his mum got involved trying to defend him because, okay, like if we're being open, like Tati did bring James's family into it. Whether you think it's appropriate to bring like personal life and family into these sorts of situations is fine. From what I've seen, most people don't seem to care, but it was like private conversations. Tati's basically said like at the dinner table in front of James's family, he was talking to his mum about like boys and inappropriate things and stuff like that. And obviously like that's a lot of things that people have problems with, but the kind of thing that like arises is like if you're an influencer and you live your life in the public light, your private life with family is like very, very treasured and very, very private. You would never just like film those intimate moments. And so for a big influencer to post a video that gets 20 million views talking about those sort of intimate private moments that you have indoors having dinner with your family, whether it's a fight, a discussion, or just something inappropriate, it's very hurtful. And I can understand now it's caused an issue for James. That's not to say I think I'm sympathetic or anything, I'm just really saying out, but James was crying on camera asking his mum to stay out of it, just saying it's my fault, it's my problem. He was sort of taking accountability but also not at the same time. He kind of just dodged around it. I think he's not in a position to really answer it. I believe he's on his tour as well. He launched this tour. It was a bit obnoxious, very, very expensive tickets, inappropriately expensive, no reason for them to be expensive. Like, I kind of understand, like, for example, if you're doing like an 8-hour course or like a few months course or a week-long course, but if it's just a quick show meet and greet to charge $500 for tickets, like you're just sort of rinsing the people that love you. That's not just a business decision. That's like, you know, people are mad at Tana Mojo for having meet and greet tickets for like $110 at her show. So for James to do like $550, $600, like you can get away with it and people are going to buy them because he's really big now and it makes sense. Like it's the business choice, but it kind of sucks for the people that can't afford it because it's like, okay, £100 is like a lot, but 500 for a ticket, come on, that's like pushing it because it's the parents paying for it, obviously. It's like the kids begging the parents for the money. Like, but you know, there's a lot of people have commended James in the past for these sorts of things. A lot of people say, oh, he's just a businessman and that's what makes him successful. And it's kind of interesting now people have turned against him for the same reasons that people used to support him. That's something that I'm finding very interesting in this situation. So for example, when James originally got big, he came forth and openly said that he originally used to post looks using products that weren't the products that he would mention. He would tag Anastasia Beverly Hills, Tarte Cosmetics to get onto their PR lists, but he wasn't using their products, he was using other people's eyeshadows, like cheaper products. But obviously the issue is when you're an influencer and you're tagging products, your subscribers and your followers are going to go and buy those products to replicate your looks. That's why you're sharing the products. So he's using a product that might cost $10 and his subscribers trust him and he's telling them to go and buy something that's $40. So do you see what I mean? It's kind of like unfair for them. When I mentioned this in a video at the time, people were very pro James and people were like, he's just a businessman, that's just how it works, that's how he got so big, don't hate him because he ain't him. And I'm like, I don't hate him. I'm very, very proud that someone in the beauty community is, you know, going as far to go to the Met Gala. But obviously now the tables have turned and it's like, oh god, you know, it's crazy, things have really kicked off. And this is kind of a theme that I found very interesting with this. Okay, like people are saying like, now, wow, James is so arrogant and selfish and self-centered. James has always sort of had these characteristics, and that's one of the reasons people have sort of gravitated towards him, because he has been cocky and quite arrogant, you know, and he's not necessarily been rude to people's faces, which is a whole different thing we're seeing now. The stories coming about, we're going to speak about later today or in tomorrow's video. That's a whole separate thing, trust me. I'm really going to go into it very fair. But I made notes here because I was on a flight yesterday. Arrogant, selfish, self-centered, egotistical, all the sort of traits people are mentioning and traits that we've seen. But those are the reasons he got so famous. That's how he had 16 million subscribers. Now it's 14 million, but that's the reason he had 16 million subscribers, you know, like, because you have to sort of, I know it sounds horrible, but for a lot of people, like, you do have to sort of think you're better than people. And it's almost like the law of attraction, you know, eventually it'll just kind of come true in your head and you'll make it happen. Like, you'll be better than people, but obviously it eventually drags you down, because if you disrespect the people that help you and you stab them in the back, people always say, be careful who you mean to on the way up, because you'll see them on the way down, you know, and I think that's very interesting. I always heard that. I think, especially when I was so young, one of my parents told that to me, and she was just like, you know, just always be kind to people, be nice to people. It should be within your spirit, but even if you're in a situation where someone's peeing you off, still don't be mean to them, because you don't know when you're going to meet them again. Just be nice to people, try your best. Even if you're really aggravated, just try and stay calm. We're going to talk about the whole sexual vulture situation later. That's a different video. That's a whole thing in itself. Basically, loads of people have come forwards, and to do with tatties and stuff as well, to do with putting inappropriate pressure onto straight men to sleep with him or to cuddle with him, and also to do with catfishing straight boys at school, pretending to be a girl so he could get their naked pictures and stuff like that. To him in his head, I'm sure it was just banter, because he's not really been repressed. You know, it's one thing when James had the whole thing, he was going to do a documentary, and then Marlena Stella from Makeup Geek, the CEO, got signed for a Netflix documentary, I believe, to talk about the behind the scenes of the beauty community, and James Charles did a massive rant against her, making out she didn't know anything when she's run a company for 10 years and she started off as an influencer. And he was saying, like, you know, it's just me against the world, guys. Like, I started out from nothing and people just come for me and steal my ideas. And it was like, James, you've lived such a blessed life. You've gone to a good school. You've traveled the world as a child with school. Like, you've obviously been supported. His parents have been supportive of him. He's never had to leave home. Like, there's plenty of people in his situation within the LGBT community that have such troublesome upbringing. So it's kind of insulting for him to sit there and be like, you should support me because I had it hard. It's like, I don't think he knows what having it hard is. That's why he's done so well, because he's been in a good position with a lot of family support, I guess. That's just my opinion on the situation. Obviously, I'm going to try and keep away from them and just keep going through the story, but that's my sort of thing. It's kind of like, he's had a very blessed upbringing. He's been very privileged, you know. Let's balance this, okay? So for example, I find it really interesting how now James is getting dragged for these things that before people used to commend him for, the exact same sorts of things, apart from the whole boy thing, that's different. But things with Tati, for example, the scandals that we've had, the images for Halo Beauty, which is obviously a skincare brand, they look to be heavily photoshopped. I actually know the photographer. I know of the photographer. I've spoken to her once or twice. She's called Julia. I believe she's originally Russian. She's the most amazing photographer. By the way, I learned to speak Russian the past few months. Okay, I don't speak amazing, but okay, let me think. Привет, сиськи Пеппа 30. Bitch. But yeah, super talented photographer. If you want to find her on Instagram, you can go and view her work. I love her work, but she's also an amazing retoucher. And the photo of Tati is obviously retouched because on her videos it looks like she has a skin filter sometimes, like a softener, and obviously on the photographs it looks really heavily retouched in terms of the skin, only because if you look at Tati on Snapchat, she looks very different. People also have an issue with her saying that her skin was as a result of taking this pill, because obviously she's had injectables, so she's had Botox. I don't know if she had injectable moisturizers and fillers and stuff like that, I'm not too sure, but that was quite a big thing at the time. There was quite a lot of stuff to do with that. I'm not going to rehash it and bring it all up, but that's just to give you some context. Like, at the time, I can understand why James didn't promote it, and I don't think that was the issue. The issue is that James has now promoted a pill instead of his friend's pill, just because the price was right. So it's like, morally, he can't promote it when he's not being paid because he doesn't agree with it. But if he's paid enough money, he can promote it and sort of sacrifice the morals. That's how people are reading it, and it's very sort of snaky. People are really angry. They feel like Tati's been hard done by. James is now doing way worse than any situation Tati's been in, because like, even if James just sort of used Tati and then got rid of her, like he never actively went out and like damaged her. But now it's like, you know, a lot of people are saying like, you know, Tati gave you your career, she can take it back. I'm hearing all these things, and I understand there's so much frustration, but like, is it just me that sees it as so savage that like literally 2 million people gone? I've known people that have used me until they've reached a point where they can use someone else, and then they stab me in the back and move on to the next person. That's literally happened with nearly every single person I've made friends with, which is why I don't make friends on social media anymore. And it is kind of how a lot of people grow. And there are definitely people like me, for example, I don't collab with people, I don't do shout outs from people, I don't kiss influencers' asses to get shout outs and growth and stuff like that. I don't make friends with influencers. Like Tati obviously promotes channels in her videos, drama channels, because they'll say favorable things. Stuff like that with me, I just don't have an interest in. I don't need to. I'm happy. YouTube is fun for me. For me, it's just a bit, I find that stuff quite awkward. You know, there's people, PewDiePie, Jackie Aina, there's lots of people that don't need to be in this collab circle or drama circle with different people to grow. But with these sorts of situations, obviously Tati has had drama with quite a lot of people now, with Jeffrey, with James. What happened with the Manny and Laura situation, with Two-Face? There's been a lot of different things happen. A lot of people, okay, not as many people, more people are angry at James, okay, that's a given, obviously, because some of the stuff that's been said is crazy, but quite a lot of people have been mad at Tati, and sort of just a bit, like, suspicious that, like, she's took 8 minutes out of this 41-minute video to obviously talk about a product, to talk about Halo Beauty, and to talk about the pills and stuff like that. And it's almost like people are saying it was an opportunity, because obviously James then promoted this other pill. It was an opportunity for her to cunningly put together this plan to work with a bunch of channels to not only destroy James, but take his followers. Because when you think of it, it's almost like a big group of people that pass between different people based on the drama. Like the subscribers 1 million go from here to here, and then Tati's in a scandal, they'll go from Tati to someone else. A lot of people were thinking that Jeffrey might be involved because Jeffree did post some indirect tweets. He also unfollowed James. And obviously James was one of the biggest people in the community, and now Jeffree has more subscribers than James. So Jeffree's benefited from this situation that now he's one of the biggest people in the beauty community in terms of the States, which obviously means, obviously it's international, but in terms of English in the States, because there's people in Spain and Spanish and Brazil and Mexico and stuff like that, that's completely different. But this means that he is almost like the top of the food chain when it comes to sponsorships and people to work with, because he's not like, before he might have been like second or third, but now he's first. So Jeffree's obviously benefited. And obviously, like, it goes without saying, Jeffree just had this situation happen with Laura and Manny where he basically buried them. You know, he really went in on both of them. Nikita, who could have easily had the same treatment, somehow got off scotch-free, like she was fine. So it kind of shows that, like, maybe there's a formula that they know works for these sorts of things. I don't know exactly, but from my perspective, when people are influencers, you see them hanging out together. Guys, if you have 2 million subscribers and they're hanging out on videos getting millions of views, it's not just two friends hanging out. Like, if you imagine a sponsorship for those people is over $150,000 for a single video, if that's their fee to promote a product, then for them to work with a person, it has to be similar. They don't have to necessarily be paid $150,000 both ways, but they have to be able to grow or benefit in some way from this, like whether it's a celebrity, someone that's going to drive them views, or another influencer that they can cross-pollinate their audiences with. So when people collaborate together, it's not like they're just friends, like it's a mutually beneficial agreement that these people are more than aware of, especially people like Tati and James. And in this situation, a few people said, like, you know, James is used Tati and used Jeffree, but both of them are very intelligent. Like, I think Tati's 37, I think Jeffree's 35. James is only, what, like 19 now. Like, they've both been in the game for almost a decade, if not more, and James has been in for a few years, nowhere near as long as them. So from my side, I don't think anyone was used. Jeffree and James hung out, especially in Jeffree's series with Shane, because it drove views. You know, James wanted to be there because he knew it was going to be a hot series, and Jeffree obviously knew it was going to bring him views, and now they're not friends anymore and things have happened. I don't know. These things are always very tactical and very political, and what I'll always say with social media from my experience is so much happens behind the scenes. The story that you see publicly will be 5% of what's happened and 95% just kind of like noise. There'll be some truth in what's being said. The truth of what's really happening, you really have to listen very carefully for the small details. It's not what people say, it's what they do. It's people's behavior. It's looking at when someone turns on James. Did they turn on James before Tati's video, or was it right when Tati posted this video and started the movement? Because if it's right when Tati starts the movement, it almost shows that it was planned, perhaps. You know, the Dolan twins both unfollowed James. James is someone that they hang out with all the time. Some people said it was paid. I don't know. Obviously, Tati, Jeffree, Shane Dawson, all these people that had a relationship with James, gone, you know? And it's really out of nowhere. There's not been a specific incident that's happened immediately that's kicked this off, like with Laura Lee's old tweets and stuff. James was, you know, at the Met Gala a few days ago, and suddenly it's like this just happened, like all of this stuff has happened. And I received an email around 2 years ago from someone that worked at the agency that Tati's represented by, not the media agency, but a PR agency, which I believe is separate completely. So from my understanding, when Tati does have a scandal or a drama, I think the main reason she often deals with it so well is because she's working with professionals. Most people sort of panic, like Laura, she posted a video crying, but you know, Tati obviously has professionals to sit down with that are impartial. That I believe, in my opinion, she can sit down and discuss with, like, what's my action? How should I deal with this? What's the best way for me to approach the topic? And obviously, to post a 41-minute video that probably took 3 hours to film with all the evidence, there must have been a whole list of things. I think it was definitely coordinated with professionals. And when people make a public statement, it's to have a public influence. It's not just to say something, it's to influence people's opinions about themselves or other people. Obviously, the intention of this video was to influence people's opinions about James. And obviously, you know, Tati's products are brought into it as well. People are loving Tati right now. She's super popular. Loads of people are subscribing to her. She's gained a few million subscribers. So she's grown from this, like she's benefited. So it's not just like she kind of just got a point out there. Like, she obviously did this almost knowing that she was going to get a lot of positive attention, especially because Jeffree and Shane have been backing her up, who are also two massive influencers. So, you know, there's been a lot of drama with these people. I'm not going to rehash mega old stuff, but obviously there was the whole thing a while ago where Tati was blocking people that had subscribed to her for a long time because when she posted the video with Jeffree for the first time, a few people were upset. And a lot of her own fans were messaging her saying, like, we're not sure about this. We like the fact that your channel's like a safe place. And she went on an absolute rampage, blocking, deleting. I think she even said that she'd blocked over 1,000 people. At one point, you can find the Snapchats. I'm sure we covered it in a video. I feel like she's tamed herself. Like, she's aware that people are watching her. Whereas before, with the whole Jeffree thing, she really just popped off. And I think alienated a lot of her own audience when she did that. And there was the whole thing when Jeffree first gifted her a Louis Vuitton handbag and people felt like she was being bought. And it was just like, there's been a lot of controversy. And I kind of feel like it's strange how this kind of stuff gets buried when these scandals happen. And it turns very much into just like teams of like for someone and against someone. And I get it. And I can see it's very entertaining for people. For me, just in my little circle, I always tot up on both sides what both people have done, and I think about it like that. Like, I don't think there's a good person and a bad person. I think there's good actions and bad actions. You know, you can have a person that has loads of bad actions, you call them a bad person, but there's people that have good and bad actions, which is everyone. James has obviously definitely had some bad actions, but he's had some good actions as well. Same as Tati. I can't pretend there's not been a situation like that. Like, you know, these are the people that are sort of the it crowd. You know, they're the ones that are in the drama, in the controversies. That's how they grow, that's how they promote the products. You know, there's always a scandal when Jeffree's about to drop a new product, something happens, there's a fight with someone. Same with Tati. You know, this is kind of how the game works. Like, it gets the circulation up, like it's common sense, everyone sees it. You know, you can go back through history and see when the product launches were, and you'll see there's always a drama a week before a product launch, you know, and it's just how the game goes, I guess. Just to tie back for a final time to do with people being used, James's engagement has been through the roof. His Instagram, his YouTube, everything has been popping off. He's been doing super well for himself. So for anyone to collaborate with James and post a video with him, I don't think he's using them. It's mutually two people using each other as a collaboration from my perspective. Like, if you have 5 million subscribers and you've been in the game for that long and you know how much you charge for a video, it's a business. And like, if you're going to do a video with someone, you're not just going to, you know, stupidly be like, oh, I like this person, I'm just randomly going to film with them. Oh my God, they used me. It's like, no, like, obviously people know when they film with someone, they're giving them attention. James benefits, Tati benefits. Like, very few people today on social media get big without social climbing, without, not just social climbing, but collaboration. So when I say social climbing is using people, getting to the next step and dumping the last person. Is James Charles guilty of that? Definitely. I mean, it's been documented through history. And alongside that, the accusations of theft, I have no doubt in my mind, in my opinion, 100% true. Like, I've seen time and time again him rip off artists, and I'm not saying, oh my God, he did a blue cut crease, someone else had a blue cut crease. Like, there was a musician that he literally just took the song from, put like a pause in it for half a second and used it without paying him. And it's like a guy that doesn't have money, you know, and it wasn't Creative Commons. It was like a guy that was making music, trying to get his name out there. Even if James had just messaged him and said, could I use your song and I'll promote you, and just leave a link in the description, it would have benefited this guy so much. There was a girl that James asked for the wig from, and then he just used the look but didn't really credit her. And this is a really common theme with James. Like, I feel bad saying that because he's very respected and he's a very talented artist, but he does have a very long documented history of really taking inspiration directly from people and not crediting them. And it's not like old looks that he's recreating, it's modern looks people have just posted, and he'll do it a week later, really the same. Like, there was a stained glass look that a guy did, and then James did the exact same thing, but no tag, not even an image tag that's like semi-hidden. You know, there's been so many instances of this and so many documented accounts of him like liking someone's picture and doing the exact same thing like a day later, or someone's outfit, someone's wig, or even like a very intricate makeup look. And I don't agree with that, especially with the artist, for example, that he could have helped so easily. I don't like how that happened. It made me very sad to hear that guy's story. It really did, because he was really just desperate to get on the ladder. You know, people gave James a chance and he should give other people a chance. Like, James says now, all the people I used to want to work with wouldn't work with me because I was too small, and now they want to work with me, but I won't work with them because I'm bigger than them. And I'm sat there like, that makes you the exact same problem as the people that you're speaking about. You're doing the exact same thing. You're basically telling us you're a social climber. Like, you're not being the difference you want to see in the world. You're just being the same thing as them, but doing better than them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of frustrating. I hope this makes sense what I'm saying. Like, I do want to see the best in James, and I don't dislike James. I think he's done so well for himself. There's things I dislike. Okay, let's take a step back. There's things that have come out recently that I very much disagree with and I don't like, especially to do with the accusations of sexual predator behavior and stuff like that, which we're going to talk about. I don't agree with that and I don't like that. But generally as a person, yes, he's been abrasive and he's selfish and arrogant and often self-centered and stuff like that. But as a person, for some reason, I don't hate him and I don't have like a real disliking towards him, even when he does stuff and I'm like, ugh. James has said things about me in the past that have been so damaging and so hurtful out of nowhere. And it's stuff that if he'd spoken to me and asked me a question, I could have clarified with him, but instead I'll just make a public statement because it's convenient, you know. And he's done this to other people as well, and I can see in this situation, I'm not just going to use this as like an opportunity to drag him and stuff like that because I don't have bad blood at all. Thank you everyone for waiting for me and chilling. Thank you. I honestly really appreciate it. Like, I feel so much better as a person. I feel like I needed this and I'm ready to go into a new chapter of myself, you know, just generally. Even Morphe, that just did a collab with James, has unfollowed him on Instagram. So like, this is very controversial. Very, very controversial. I'm wondering why so many people have bad blood against James. It makes you think something bad has happened behind the scenes. Like, I can get just a few influencers, like that happens all the time with people just unfollowing and chatting shit about each other. But like, for Morphe to unfollow him, like, he makes Morphe so much money and they just did a palette together, so that's a big deal. Like, something must have happened behind the scenes business wise, but ultimately I guess we're not going to know until people come forward, unless James talks. I don't know what's going to happen. I think he's just going to take a break and come back and say he's been destroyed and he's wanting forgiveness. But I actually want to understand everything that's happened, even if it's not pretty, even if it turns people against him. Like, I want to know his side of the story. I don't know, I just find it very interesting to hear like both people's perspectives because he's not really said much, and so many of his friends have turned against him at the exact same time. It seems very coordinated, and I wonder what the reason is, because people haven't really spoken about like that, you know, the ongoing thing with boys. James has always been like that, you know, with like how he's spoken about straight guys and stuff like that, you know, it's not a new thing. So anyway, queens, that's the end of the first video back. Me and Pepper are so glad you were able to join us. I have the live streams if you just want to have a chit chat with people sometime. It's super nice. And I'm also excited to get onto the second video. This isn't going to be my permanent format. I do want to get into some very, very new sort of topics and formats and stuff like that. But right now I'm moving house, so it's a bit difficult with the internet as well. I have to drive somewhere else to use the internet because it's too slow here. Pretty house, bad internet, unacceptable. But yeah, so please bear with me. I'm so happy you're here, and I'll see you very, very soon. What am I doing? I look so weird. I'm like... Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.